Hey everyone, welcome back to Man of Substance, the channel where we talk self-mastery, purpose and relationships from a grounded male perspective. Today, I want to challenge a belief that a lot of good men have. It might feel uncomfortable, but it's important. If you think the more love, attention and care you give to a woman, the more she'll naturally love you back, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment. But before we go any further, this video isn't about bashing women. It's not about turning cold or playing games. It's about understanding energy, self-respect, and relationship dynamics. Let's dive in. Point 1. Too available and less valued. One of the most common traps men fall into is being too available. Too soon. You meet someone you like and suddenly you're texting constantly, adjusting your whole schedule to see her and giving her unlimited access to your time. Sounds romantic, right? But here's the twist. When something is always available, it starts to lose its value, its human nature. When effort isn't required, appreciation fades. A man who's always around may unintentionally give off the impression that he has nothing else going on, no mission, no direction, no higher purpose. Your time and attention are most meaningful when they're earned, not when they're on demand. You're not withdrawing affection. You're preserving your energy for someone who truly values it. Point 2. Support doesn't mean submission. There's a fine line between being supportive and being overly accommodating. When you're constantly trying to please, fix and adjust everything for her, it may come off as trying too hard. Respect is built when a woman sees that you have boundaries, that you can say no when needed, and that you're guided by your own values, not just seeking approval. Relationships thrive when both people bring value, not when one is constantly giving while the other just receives. You're not her servant, you're her equal partner. That's where real attraction lives. Point 3. Validation in moderation. Compliments and affection are great, but if you overdo it, you can accidentally drain the excitement and curiosity out of a connection. Why? Because constant validation removes mystery. When everything is handed over so easily, there's nothing left to wonder, to discover, or to chase. A little unpredictability keeps things interesting. The goal isn't to withhold praise, it's to make sure that when you do give it, it means something. Point 4 continued. Let her earn your validation. Here's a truth that's hard to swallow, but necessary. Women, just like men, value what they have to earn. When you over-validate, constantly reassuring her, complimenting her, and making your interest too obvious, you may unintentionally remove the very thing that creates attraction, mystery, and momentum. The chase isn't a game, it's a natural part of human connection. We're wired to value things that require some effort. When she feels like she's already won you before anything has even started, the emotional spark can fade. That doesn't mean you should play cold or manipulative. It means you should value yourself enough to make your presence and affection intentional, not automatic. If you make her the center of your emotional world too soon, you take away her ability to pursue. And when there's nothing left to pursue, curiosity fades. And when curiosity fades, so does desire. The goal isn't to withhold compliments, it's to give them meaning. Let her wonder sometimes. Let her experience the satisfaction of earning your attention just like you're putting in effort to earn hers. That balance creates mutual respect and keeps things exciting. Point 5. Why nice guys often get ignored. Let's address a tough one head-on. Being a nice guy doesn't guarantee a connection. In fact, if your version of nice comes from a place of self-doubt or fear, it can often work against you. Women don't dislike kindness. They dislike people-pleasing that comes off as inauthentic. When a man is constantly available, always saying yes and putting her needs far above his own, he can come across as lacking backbone, not strength. Here's the thing. Real kindness comes from confidence, not from hoping it'll get you something in return. When your kindness is driven by a hidden agenda, like winning affection, avoiding rejection, or being seen as better than other guys, it no longer feels genuine. It feels transactional, and people, women included, pick up on that energy. Respect and attraction come from being authentic, not overly agreeable. Women are drawn to men who know who they are, who have boundaries, and who aren't afraid to disagree or stand for something. Being kind is powerful, but being kind without self-respect is weakness, not virtue. When you're afraid to be direct, afraid to speak your mind, or always trying to do the right thing to avoid conflict, you're not showing leadership, you're playing it safe. And safety doesn't inspire passion. The bottom line, don't be nice just to get something back. Be kind because it reflects your values, and combine that kindness with confidence, direction, and a sense of purpose. That's what makes a man unforgettable. Point 6. Continued, genuine strength over pleasing behavior. Here's something many guys overlook. Strength isn't about dominance, it's about self-respect. Women respect men who are kind and grounded, men who are supportive but also stand for something. If you're constantly trying to please at the cost of your own standards, you're not being kind. You're being self-sacrificing, and that's not sustainable. You don't need to be rude or dismissive to be respected. You just need to be real. Stop overthinking every word, every move. Show up as your authentic self. That's where real attraction starts, when you're not trying to impress, but expressing who you are without apology. So instead of always playing it safe, start being a man who knows his worth. Set boundaries. Be a little unpredictable. Be someone she can admire, not just someone who makes her comfortable. Point 7. She tests what she's unsure of. Let's be clear, not all tests are games. Often, they're unconscious ways a woman gauges whether you're someone she can truly respect. These tests might show up as teasing, emotional distance, or even minor boundary pushing. And they're not necessarily signs that she's not into you. In many cases, she's trying to understand, are you consistent? Are you secure? Can you handle pressure without falling apart? A woman who respects you doesn't feel the need to constantly test you. But if you've been overly available, too accommodating, or hesitant to express your needs, she may start testing to find out what you're really made of. For example, if she cancels plans last minute and you say, "No problem," every time, she might unconsciously interpret that as a lack of self-respect. But if you calmly say, "I understand, but I value my time too. Let's reschedule when we're both sure," you're showing composure and boundaries. That earns respect. It's not about being harsh. It's about being clear, calm, and confident. The key is not to react emotionally. Don't lash out, don't chase, just stand your ground. When she sees that, the tests usually stop and real respect begins. Point 6. Overgiving looks like desperation. Here's the hard truth. If you're always giving and never receiving, you're not being generous. You're signaling desperation. It might feel noble to give without expecting anything back, but relationships thrive on mutual effort. If you're constantly pouring in energy, time, and emotion, and she doesn't have to invest at all, the connection becomes one-sided. People value what they contribute to. If she doesn't need to earn your attention or affection, she may start to take it for granted, not because she's ungrateful, but because she hasn't had to work for it. This doesn't mean you should hold back love like a reward. It means you should know your worth and ensure that what you're giving is matched with real appreciation and reciprocity. Overgiving drains you, and when you're drained, you're not showing up as the best version of yourself. You stop being the man with purpose, drive, and boundaries, and start becoming someone who orbits around her world instead of leading his own. You can be caring without losing your identity. You can support her without giving up your path. And you can give generously, but only from a place of strength, not need. Point 8 continued. Overgiving looks desperate. When you're constantly giving, your time, your energy, your attention, without any balance or expectation of reciprocity, you're not showing care. You're showing neediness. Desperation isn't attractive. It signals that you're seeking validation from someone else instead of standing in your own value. You may think your giving shows how much you care, but to her, it can come across as you trying to prove your worth by sacrificing yourself. And here's the kicker. When she sees you sacrificing your time, your standards, or even your identity, without ever asking for anything in return, she doesn't feel admiration. She feels distance. Why? Because attraction and respect are built on mutual value. If you're doing all the work, she's not emotionally investing. You're not giving her a reason to value your presence. You're just always there, and that slowly erodes respect. So what's the solution? Pull your energy back, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Start focusing on your own life, your goals, your mission. That's when she starts to see you as a man of value, not just someone orbiting hers. Point 9, respect comes from distance, not just devotion. This might sting a little, but it's the truth that most men need to hear. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. Why? Because devotion without boundaries often comes across as emotional dependency, not strength. Respect doesn't come from always being available. It comes from being centered, from showing that while you care, you're not willing to abandon your priorities just to keep someone around. When you constantly put her first, before your purpose, before your growth, before your boundaries, you're not being romantic, you're being unbalanced. Let's be honest, no one, man or woman, respects someone who's willing to give everything up at the drop of a hat. It might seem like love, but over time, it feels more like pressure or even a burden. Here's what really earns respect. Having a life she can witness, not one you abandon for her, being present, but not always available, prioritizing connection. Without losing your own direction, you can care deeply without giving up your identity. That balance is what makes you stand out, not constant devotion. So stop chasing, stop trying to win her over with effort alone. Start becoming the man who chooses himself first, because that's the version of you she's most likely to respect and desire.